Yeah, that feeling, right? You're sitting there, maybe in a long meeting or just scrolling on your phone, and then bam, it hits you. That deep, deep urge to yawn. Your mouth opens super wide, big breath in. Feels impossible to resist, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But have you ever, really stopped to wonder why? Why we actually do that?
It's so incredibly common, isn't it? But yeah, despite how often we do it, yawning is, well, it's still one of the most mysterious things we do. Biologically speaking, it's something absolutely everyone shares, from day one right to the end. But its actual purpose, honestly, it's baffled scientists for ages. The theories have been all over the place, some obvious, some really quite surprising.
Exactly. And that's precisely why we're doing this deep dive today. Our mission, really, for you listening, is to unpack this whole enduring mystery of the yawn. We're going to look at the latest science, bust some really common myths, and hopefully uncover some fascinating facts you might not know. Things that make you go, huh.
Yeah, we'll get into what a yawn actually is, mechanically. And we'll definitely tackle why it's so contagious, which is, frankly, weirder and more profound than you might think. Plus, its links to our brains, our social side, even what it tells us about other animals and ourselves. Prepare to have maybe a few assumptions flipped.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning then, the basics. We all know the feeling, but physiologically, what's really going on? What are the mechanics?
Well, on the surface, it looks pretty simple, right? It's an involuntary reflex. You open your mouth wide, take a really deep, long breath. It can last several seconds, actually. You might feel a stretch in your jaw. Even your eardrums pop a little. Then a slower exhale. It seems basic, but underneath, it's this whole orchestrated sequence. Complex muscle stuff, breathing patterns. It's a whole micro event, really.
Right. And for the longest time, I totally bought into the idea it was all about oxygen. Like everyone said, you yawn, brain needs more O2, deep breath fixes it. It sounds so logical, doesn't it? Almost like obvious.
Oh, absolutely. It does sound logical. And yeah, for decades, that was the main theory. The thinking was simple. Deep breath, more oxygen to the brain, problem solved. Makes sense. But when scientists actually put it to the test, properly tested it, it just didn't hold up. The studies were pretty clear. Giving people extra oxygen didn't make them yawn less. And maybe even more telling, putting people in places with more carbon dioxide, which should make you need more oxygen, well, they didn't necessarily yawn more, sometimes even less. So researchers realized, okay, we've been barking up completely the wrong tree here.
Wow. Okay, so that whole oxygen theory is just debunked, which leaves a big question mark, doesn't it? If it's not about grabbing more air, what is the body doing? This is where you said it gets really interesting, right? What's the leading idea now?
Right. Well, the most compelling hypothesis now, the one with growing evidence behind it, is brain temperature regulation. Think of it like this. Yawning is basically an air conditioning system for your brain. Your brain, it's working hard all the time, generates a lot of heat. When it gets just a little too warm, a yawn kicks in to help cool it down. That deep inhale brings in cooler air from outside.
Oh, okay.
And that cooler air cools the blood flowing through the veins in your head and neck. Acts like a heat sink, essentially, pulls the heat away.
So it's not just breathing, it's like a targeted cooling blast. Like my laptop fan kicking in when it's working too hard.
Yeah.
A radiator for the skull.
Exactly. That's a great analogy, like a high-performance computer overheating. Your brain uses a massive amount of energy, like 20% of your body's total energy, even though it's only 2% of your weight. So it needs to stay in a pretty narrow temperature range to work best. A yawn is just this, elegant, built-in way your body handles thermoregulation, keeping that internal temperature steady. Specifically, making sure the brain stays at peak operating temp. It's pretty clever, really.
That is incredible. Yeah, that makes way more sense than the oxygen thing, especially thinking about how much energy our brains use. But okay, then we have to talk about the really weird part. The contagiousness. It's so strange. Just hearing the word yawn or seeing someone else do it. Heck, the sources even say reading about it, maybe like you are right now, listener. It can just trigger one. It's this powerful, almost automatic thing. I sometimes yawn just thinking about yawning.
You're totally right. It is one of the most fascinating bits. And this contagious part, it seems to be linked to something really fundamental, really human. Empathy, social bonding. Scientists mostly agree now that when you see someone yawn, and then you do it too, it's not just random copying. It's like this subtle, unconscious way our brains mirror what others are doing, maybe even tapping into their state of mind. A kind of nonverbal, I'm with you signal connects us empathically.
Wow, so that's like a tiny empathetic echo. I feel you, but with a yawn. And didn't you mention there's a cool developmental thing that backs this up?
Yes. And it's a really key piece of evidence. It turns out that young children, usually kids under about 4 years old, they don't typically catch yawns. And the main theory is because their empathy circuits, the brain networks for understanding and sharing feelings, they aren't fully wired up yet. So it provides this clear developmental link. Catching a yawn isn't just a quirk, it's like a little signpost of developing social cognition. Really highlights the social side of this simple reflex.
That developmental point is really eye-opening. And it makes you wonder, if it's so tied to social stuff in humans, what about other animals? Are we the only ones doing this contagious empathy yawn thing? Or do other creatures yawn? Do they catch them too?
Oh, not at all. Yawning is incredibly common across the animal kingdom. Dogs, cats, birds, even fish yawn, seriously.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is the contagious part. Our closest relatives, chimps, they don't just yawn, they absolutely catch yawns from each other, very similar to how we do. Which suggests, a shared evolutionary history for this social aspect of yawning.
And hang on, this gets even closer to home for people with pets, right? I swear I've seen my dog do it after me.
You are absolutely spot on. And you probably have. If you have a dog, you might notice your dog catching your yawn. And researchers don't think that's just random mimicry. It's widely thought to be a potential sign of empathy from your dog towards you. They might be so tuned into you, they mirror this ancient reflex. That personal connection is, I think, a real aha moment for pet owners. Makes that bond feel even deeper, right?
Definitely. Okay, so shifting gears a bit, we usually connect yawning with being tired, right? Or bored. It's like the universal sign for I need coffee or this meeting is dragging.
Yeah.
But what if that's actually backwards? What if it's not about winding down, but winding up?
That is the surprising twist, isn't it? It totally flips the common idea. It seems counterintuitive, I know, but there's a solid hypothesis that yawning might actually help us stay awake and alert, especially when we're a bit tired or maybe about to shift into a more demanding activity. Think about it. When do people often yawn? You see athletes yawning right before a race, musicians just before they go on stage, even soldiers, historically, before battle. It's probably not boredom in those cases, right? It could be the body prepping itself.
So it really makes me rethink. Yeah, every time I've yawned before giving a presentation or starting a long drive. So instead of meaning I'm zoning out, it's my brain saying, okay, let's get sharp. How would that even work?
Precisely. In those moments, it's potentially like a quick physiological reset. That deep breath, the stretching of the face and jaw muscles, it boosts blood flow to the brain. Might give a little jolt of oxygenated blood, maybe trigger some alertness-enhancing neurotransmitters, basically a mechanism to keep the brain focused, maybe clear out the mental cobwebs, like refreshing your browser cache. So yeah, next time you yawn before something important, maybe think, okay, body's getting ready, game on, not, oh no, I'm bored.
Okay, here's another little tidbit I found completely fascinating. Get this. It links back to the brain stuff we talked about, the complexity, the cooling. What if the actual length of your yawn, how long it lasts, tells us something about your brain?
Yes. It's one of those connections that sounds almost made up, but there's real research there. It seems the duration of a yawn is connected to brain size and complexity. So humans, for example, with our big, complex brains, our yawns average around 6 seconds long. But look at smaller animals, like a mouse. Their yawns are super short, maybe half a second, barely noticeable.
So it's not just random, there's like a pattern. Bigger, more complex brain means a longer yawn. What's the thinking behind that?
Exactly. The correlation is pretty striking across different species. Researchers think it might be because larger, more intricate brains need a more significant cooling cycle or alertness boost. A bigger engine needs the fan to run longer, maybe. So the yawn needs to be more substantial, last longer to effectively cool things down or ramp things up. It's like the yawn duration is this subtle little readout reflecting the brain's architecture and its needs. Pretty neat connection tying back to both the cooling and the alertness ideas.
Okay, so given all this, it's usually normal. It might cool the brain, maybe wake us up, it connects us.
Yeah.
What about when it happens too much? If it's generally a good reflex, is there a point where excessive yawning means something else, something more serious?
That's a really important point to cover, actually. Because yes, while yawning itself is normal, excessive yawning can sometimes be a flag. If someone starts yawning way more than usual, frequently, uncontrollably, it's not always just being tired or stressed. It has been linked to certain underlying medical conditions, things like heart problems, especially issues involving the vagus nerve, which runs through the chest, also connections to migraines, or even some neurological conditions like epilepsy or MS.
Right. So it's definitely something to pay attention to if it changes dramatically or becomes really frequent and out of context. It could be your body trying to signal something isn't quite right.
Precisely. Doctors sometimes do use yawning frequency as one subtle clue among others during diagnosis. It's just another example of how our bodies communicate with us in ways we might easily overlook. So yeah, if you notice a big, unexplained jump in how often you're yawning, it's probably worth mentioning to a doctor. Just to be safe. A good reminder to listen to those body signals, even the seemingly small ones, like a yawn.
Man, it's kind of amazing how much is packed into something we do every day without a second thought. We've debunked myths, talked brain cooling, empathy, alertness, even yawn length. But despite all that, it still feels like the complete picture isn't quite
Yeah,
there, right? There's still a sense of mystery.
you're absolutely right. And scientists are the first to admit it. Despite all the progress, yawning still holds on to some of its secrets. We're still figuring out the full story. Is it just brain cooling? Is empathy the main driver? Is it mostly about alertness? Or, more likely, is it some complex interplay of all these things, maybe shifting depending on the situation? The truth is, we're still working towards that complete answer, which is kind of cool, really. It reminds us there's always more to discover, even about the most basic human things. Keeps us curious.
What a fascinating deep dive this has been. Seriously, we've gone from thinking it was just about oxygen to seeing it as this intricate reflex tied to brain temp, social bonds, staying sharp, even brain size through its duration.
Yeah, it's definitely clear it's way more complex than just I'm tired or I'm bored. It's this ancient kind of mysterious behavior we share with so many other animals. Millions of years of evolution wrapped up in biology, psychology, social connection. It's quite profound when you think about it. Really shows the subtle intelligence working away inside us.
So the next time you feel that yawn coming on, maybe in a lecture, maybe in a meeting, maybe even right now listening to us talk about it, just pause for a second. Remember what an incredibly complex, deeply wired, and frankly fascinating thing it is. It's your brain's AC, maybe your empathetic nod to someone else, maybe your body's way of saying pay attention, all in one big stretch and breath.
And hey, if you did happen to yawn while listening, you're just living proof of how connected we are to this whole biological puzzle. It's a great little reminder of the surprising ways our bodies work, how much we're still learning, and how connected we all are through these shared ancient human things. Go on, embrace the yawn. You're part of something pretty amazing.